Hello, and welcome to Tap That MTG, the show where we tell you everything we know about magic that's probably wrong, but fun to talk about. I'm Shauna.
I'm Leslie.
Today, we are bringing you a Commander deep dive into the Duskmorn Commander decks that we are pretty excited about. We're going to break down all the cards in the deck, talk to you about what the deck is meant to do and how to use it wisely. And if you hang around with us until the end, we'll offer some suggestions for tweaking it to make it maybe even better. So
Mhm.
that will be fun. Leslie, without further ado, what deck is this and what is it? What are the commanders?
Well, this deck is Miracle Worker from Duskmorn, and our commander is Amanatu. And this is, in my opinion, arguably one of the better decks or best decks in the series, which I mean, come at me. I'll argue with you. Um, Anyways, Amanatu Veil Piercer is our commander. It is a 4 mana cost creature that's a 2/4, so she's fairly easy to get out there. At the beginning of your upkeep, you're gonna surveil 2. So before you draw, you just get to surveil, which is great. Now, surveil puts things into your graveyard instead of putting them onto the bottom of your library if you don't want them, but you get to look at the top 2 to decide what's coming. Also, each enchantment card in your hand has miracle. Its miracle cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 4. So it makes all your enchantments have miracle. And miracle is basically just an alternate cost. You can pay its miracle cost instead. And in this case, all of your enchantments cost 4 less. So this commander is very key to this deck, which is makes it a little bit tricky because you do have to protect your commander in order to keep this one running smoothly. But we also have an alternate commander, which is Master of Keys for X and white, blue, green, or green, white, blue, black. It's a 3/3 with flying, and whenever Master of Keys enters, you get to put X/1/1 counters on it and mill twice X cards. And then each enchantment card in your graveyard has escape. So now you can play it from its graveyard. So the combination of these two in this deck is great. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exiling 3 cards from your graveyard. So basically, this deck is going to take advantage of the concept of miracle cost, casting cards at a reduced cost. It synergizes really well with pretty much any enchantments. And the nice thing is, with unless there's like cleansing nova or some of those other board wipes, enchantments are a little they have to be targeted, and so they're a little harder to get rid of. So it's very flexible. Again, these decks all come with scheme cards, which allow you to play a fun little sub game of Arch Enemy, which is a 3 versus 1 game. There will be 10 in this deck. Basically, one of you is the villain and everyone else is against you. If you want to know how to play that game, there are lots of videos out there that'll help you play that game, but that's what those cards are for when you open this deck. But Shauna is going to tell us about the deck breakdown.
Right on. The deck breakdown, as far as mana goes, this is a very there's a high mana cost in a lot of these cards, but that's hopefully going to let you take advantage of the miracle
Yes,
abilities
for
there.
free, four
So
less. Yeah.
yeah, so we want that to happen with our big stuff. So we want to use that. There's 7 cards at 0 to 1 mana cost, 8 at 2, 12 at 3, 4 at 7, but there are 11 at 5, and there are 16 at 6 and up, and 2 with the X mana cost. So that's quite heavy on the top end. But like I said, you're hopefully going to be playing them for the miracle costs instead. As far as colors go, we have 10 multicolor, 9 colorless, 18 white, and 17 blue. So equal in our blue and white colors there, but only 9 black. And then there are 37 lands in this deck. As far as creature types go, or sorry, card types go, the 37 lands, 13 creatures, 10 enchantment creatures, which is really great to see because we need those enchantments. And then we have 15 enchantments and then 18 instances of sorceries. This is a deck that has blue in it, so it's not surprising. And then 7 artifacts to help you. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, so Leslie's going to tell us a little bit about how we break down these decks.
Yes. So we like to split it up into a few different categories that we think are essential for building a balanced commander deck. Ramp being the first one, we think you should have about 15 cards. Removal, another 15. Card draw, around 13. High impact, those are the things that are going to win you the game, that are your theme. They're going to match your commander. So around 12 of those. And then your other cards are things that support your high impact cards or support your commander in some way, shape, or form. And then around 34 to 35 lands. So we're going to look at each of those sections, see what cards are in them, and compare that to those numbers.
Yeah. So our first section is the ramp mana generator section. So the formula calls for 15. The deck has 14, so right on par there. The
Mm-hmm.
first one we have is an ancient cellar spawn. So I think this is new to this set, but it is a 3/3 for 1 and the 2 black, an enchantment creature, horror. And each spell you cast that's a demon, horror, or a nightmare costs 1 less to cast. There are lots of those in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its actual mana value, target opponent loses life equal to the difference. Ooh.
Mm. So in this case, just looking back at the miracle cost for less, if you did decide to cast this, you'd still have to pay the 2 black. You always have to pay the colors. Whenever it's a reduced cost, it's only the little colorless. So it would be 1 less. Even though it could be 4 less, you don't get the difference of 4. You just get the difference of 1. Burnished Heart is our next one for 3. It's a 2/2. This one's all colorless. It is only an artifact, though, not an enchantment. So 3, sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped.
Then the Solemn Simulacrum, it's in quite a few of these decks. It can be in the ramp section or the card draw section because it's a 2/2 for 4 little artifact creature golem that when he enters, you may search your library for a basic land, put that on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. And then when this dies, you get to draw a card. So it's good for both.
Yep. Starfield Mystic for 2. It's a 2/2. This one makes your enchantments cost 1 less, so that fits right well with the ramp. So that does stack with the miracle cost of being 4 less, so that would be 5 less if you had this one out. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you get to put a 1/1 counter on Starfield Mystic. So this guy's going to get bigger if you lose your enchantments.
Then we have Verge Rangers. It's a 3/3 first strike for 2 and a white. And you may look at the top card of your library at any time, which is really handy. And as long as an opponent controls more lands than you may play lands from the top of your library.
Mm-hmm.
Get them out of the way.
Right? It's awesome. Aminatu's Augury for 8 is a sorcery. You have to exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Until the end of turn for each non-land card type, you may cast a spell for of this type from among them. Exile cards without paying its mana cost. So of course, playing things for free is always mana ramp. And you get one of each type. So all of those 8 cards potentially onto the battlefield, which is why this costs 8. But it also gets you a free land. So great card.
There you go. Life insurance. I think this is new to this set too. It's for 3 a white and a black, a little enchantment that has extort. So whenever you cast a spell, you may pay the white or black mana. And if you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain that much life. And whenever a non-token creature dies, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All the
Yeah.
money in the world won't buy back a pulse. Oh my god.
Oh, isn't that right?
Yep.
Monologue tax.
Oh,
So someone gets
fun.
a little yappy yappy, you're going to tax them for 3. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. So you're going to cast some stuff. I need some mana.
Yeah, let them be greedy. And then, of course, we have our mana rocks that are included in every one of these decks, which is amazing and awesome. The Arcane Signet, it's for 2. It's the one that taps for any color in your commander's color identity. And then, of course, the Soul Ring, which taps for the 2 colorless. And they have nice new art in this set, too, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. And we have an Orzhov Signet and an Azorius Signet in this deck. Each of them taps for 2 colors. So we have the white-black one and the white-blue one.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Commander Sphere, which taps for any color in your commander's color identity. And this one gets you to draw your card when you sacrifice it. Same with Mind Stone, except it taps for the colorless, and you can pay 1 and sacrifice it to draw a card as well.
Yeah.
So, so those are great little ones that you can use to draw cards as well.
Yeah. And our next section is card draw and tutors. Formula has 13. This deck has 14. So far, this deck is right where it needs to be balanced. Mesa Enchantress is our first one. For 3, she's a 0/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get to draw a card.
Nice. The Moon Blessed Cleric, it is a 3/2. When it enters, you may search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. Just line it up.
Yeah. A lot more cards with powerful women on them are coming out, which is nice to see. Yeah. Phenomenon Investigator for 4. It's a 3/4. When it enters, you get to choose Believe or Doubt. So if you choose Believe, whenever a non-creature token you control dies, create a 2/2 Black Horror enchantment creature token. If you choose Doubt, then at the beginning of your end step, you may return a non-land permanent that you own to your hand. If you do, you get to draw a card. So options.
You could return it to do it again.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Prognostic Sphinx. It's a 3/5 flyer for 5, and you can discard a card, and this thing gains hexproof until end of turn. You have to tap it, though. But whenever this guy attacks, you get to scry 3, which is really useful as well.
Yeah. But all you have to do is tap it to protect it. It's great.
Yeah.
Diabolic Vision for 2. It's a sorcery. You get to look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest at the top of your library in any order. So it's essentially a scry 5, but you get to draw for 2.
Nice.
That's actually really good.
And I like this new art on Ponder with little Manatu on it instead, with the little 3 things floating around. It's the sorcery for blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order, and you may shuffle if you want, and you can draw a card.
Important. I'm important. Sorry. This is our 4th video. For 1 blue, it's a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of target player's library, then put them back in any order. You may have that player shuffle. Draw a card at the beginning of your next turn's upkeep. I mean, ultimately, this is a good way to see the top of yours, but you can use it to see the top of somebody else's. And if you see that there's some really good stuff coming up, you can just make them shuffle, which is really a great way to get that knowledge.
Yeah. Read the Bones is a nice little sorcery that's been around for a while for 2 and a black. Scry 2, then draw 2 cards, but you lose 2 life because black says nope.
Yeah. And Brainstorm for 1 is draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. It does not have to be out of those 2 cards that you drew. So you get better stuff and just kind of be like, I'm going to put those away for later. Yeah.
Otherworldly Gaze, it is a little instant for 1 blue that lets you surveil 3. So again, putting cards in your graveyard if you don't want them. And you can flash back 2 for 1 and a blue and do that again from your graveyard if you want.
Yep. Telling Time for 2. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of those cards into your hand, 1 at the top of your library, and 1 at the bottom of your library.
Thirst for Meaning. This is handy with this enchantment deck. In a little instant, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an enchantment card. You're hopefully going to get it back later, so it's okay.
Yep. And we have a Brain Stone in this deck. It's a one mana cost artifact. For 2, you can tap it, sacrifice it, and draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order.
It's just a funny looking little guy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
he's cute.
So the rooms that are new to this set are enchantments, so very good for this deck, and rooms that you play either side, and then to unlock them, and then you can later on at sorcery speed unlock the other side. So this one, the bottomless pool, if is 1 blue, you can play that side, and when you unlock this door, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. So get rid of something. And then the locker room side, which is 4 and a blue. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. It'd be really handy.
Yeah. And we're on to our removal formula is 15. This deck has about 10, so a little light on the removal, which is surprising because it does have black at its disposal. But we have Doomwake Giant for 5. It's a 4/6. It has Constellation, which takes advantage of when your enchantments enter the battlefield. And when Doomwake Giant or another enchantment you control enters, you get to create, or creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until the end of turn. So it might just wipe out all those little 1/1 flying fairies that are on the other side of the battlefield, which would be
Yeah.
nice for Shauna. Um, yeah, nice little removal.
Dream Eater, it is a 4/3 for 4 and 2 blue. It has flash, so you zip it in there on their turn, and it has flying. When it enters, you surveil 4, and when you do, you may return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. So you
Mm-hmm.
pop it in there and get rid of their attacking big thing.
Then we have Terminus. So all of the miracle cards have this little lines at the top, which is kind of an interesting little card detail.
Mm-hmm.
So this one has miracle. So you can pay 6 and put all creatures on the bottom of their owner's library. Or you may cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn. So that's the nice thing. That's what miracle. It has to be the first card you draw this
Mm-hmm.
turn, but remember your commander gives everything miracle. So if you draw that enchantment, you can cast it for less, which is why it's so important to keep your commander onto the battlefield or on the battlefield.
Then there's Time Wipe, which is a sorcery that for 2 and 2 white and a blue, it return a creature card you control to its owner's hand, then destroy all creatures. It's a board wipe.
Board wipe. And some blue removal, arcane denial, nope, counter target spell. Its controller does get to draw 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, and you get to draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So it gets both of you some cards, but they don't get that thing they wanted.
Yep. Return to dust for 2 and 2 white. An instant, exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast a spell during your main phase, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment.
Yeah. And then we have 2 little exile spells, Swords to Plowshares and Utter End. Both of them exile something. So Swords is target creature. They do get a benefit from it of gaining life. And the other is target non-land permanent. So it doesn't have to be a creature. So
Yeah.
exile.
Cast Out. This is a great little enchantment for 3 and a white that has flash. And when Cast Out enters, you exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this thing leaves the battlefield. It does have cycling on it where you can pay 1 and discard it and draw a card. So that might be an option for you as well.
Mm-hmm. And then Eldest Reborn is a lovely card that's black, and I love this saga for 5 for its first chapter. So you're just going to play it on the battlefield, and you're going to do the chapters each turn. First chapter, each opponent sacrifices a creature or a planeswalker. Second one, each opponent discards a card, and then the third chapter, you get to put target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So it might be something from yours. It might also be something from their graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Then we're on to our high impact section. So the formula calls for 12. The deck has 14, and this may be why Leslie says this is probably the best of the decks because there are a ton of really game winning cards in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we already talked about the Master of Keys, the 3/3 for the X and the Esper, which is a white, blue, and black colors of our deck here. Horror, that's flying. When it enters, put X1 counters on it and mill twice X cards. Each enchantment card in your graveyard has escape. We talked about that, how that works. So, yeah, you're going to be able to get all those enchantments back from your graveyard. Sweet, sweet.
Yep. So Arnux the Mind Flail for 7 is a 9/9. Um, when it comes in, it likely won't be a creature because it isn't a creature unless you control 3 or more permanents you don't own. However, at the beginning of your end step, you get to exile the bottom card of each player's library face down. For as long as those cards remain exiled, you may look at them, you may cast them for any mana, and basically then it will become a creature. So you're just basically stealing some of your opponent's stuff. It comes from the bottom of the library, which is super fun. Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Of course, land doesn't matter because you can't cast land. You have to be able to cast it.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Athreos, Shroud Veil. This is a fun card as well. It's indestructible 4/7 for the 4 and 2, or sorry, and a white and a black. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, this guy isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, though, you put a coin counter on another target creature. So it could be yours, could be theirs. Yeah, never know. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, you get to return that card to the battlefield under your control. Haha.
Another way that you own cards that aren't
Yep.
yours.
Yeah.
So those would
Funny.
trigger the other one as well. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Demon of Fate's design for 6. It's a 6/6 with flying and trample. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an enchantment spell by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. Then you can also pay 2 and sacrifice another enchantment. Demon of Fate's design gets plus X plus 0 until the end of turn, where X is the sacrifice enchantment's mana value. So if you don't need those
Gosh.
enchantments anymore, you can just
So
make your
crazy.
big dude beefier.
Crazy. Fear of sleep paralysis. This is another 6/6 flying for 6 and has eerie. So whenever this guy or another enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, you tap up to one target creature and put a stun counter on it. So that is, it has to stay tapped until you can take, instead of untapping, you take the stun counter off.
Mm-hmm.
So you put that on the other person's card, but it says stun counters can't be removed from permanents your opponent's control. So they can't actually take them off, which is nice. You're paralyzed.
Yeah, just does lots. Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Undo Spirit Dancer for 5 is a 3/3. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, you may create a token that's a copy of it. Do this only once per turn. So, yeah,
Make a
you
copy
get
of Fear of Sleep Paralysis.
second. Exactly.
Oh my god. Soaring Lightbringer. This is another enchantment creature. So enchantment creatures count as enchantments for 4 and a white, 4/5 flyer. Other enchantment creatures you control have flying. Oh well, yay. And whenever you attack a player, create a 1/1 white glimmer enchantment creature token that's tapped and attacking that player too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Flying.
And then another one that's going to get you like lots of enchantments is extravagant replication. So it's not good enough that they're just free. You're just going to create copies of them. So this one is 6. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you get to just create a token copy of another target non-land permanent you control.
And it doesn't go away.
Nope.
Yay. One with the multiverse. This is an expensive one for 6 and 2 blue, but maybe you can play it for its miracle cost. An enchantment that says you may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library.
Mm-hmm.
Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost.
Yeah.
What?
See what I'm saying? This deck has so many good cards. Just right out of the deck. You don't even have to tweak it. Like it's crazy.
No.
Shark Typhoon is another great one. So
Yeah.
you don't need any creatures in your deck because you have Shark Typhoon, and every time you play an enchantment, you're going to get a shark. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a 6 mana cost enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, and where X is the spell's mana value. If you don't want to do that, you can also cycle it, and when you cycle it, you create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. So
Awesome.
nice.
Sigil of Empty Throne. This is a really good enchantment as well for this deck. A 3 and 2 whites. Whenever you cast 2 whites. Okay, 2 white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying.
Again, why do you need creatures? You don't need creatures because you're just going to get free ones.
Uh,
Sphere of Safety. This is in any enchantment deck. It's pretty much a must add. Hopefully, you have
mm-hmm.
enchantments in white because basically creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays X for each of the enchantments you control, which is going to be everything.
Oh my god.
So, I mean, really, even if you only have 3 enchantments on the battlefield, they have to pay 3 extra to attack you for each of the creatures that they want to attack. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
just puts this bubble around you. They have to get rid of the sphere of safety. But if you make a copy of it, then you have extra spheres of safety.
Oh god. Yep. Yep. Oh boy. Then this deck has 2 rooms. I think we
Mm-hmm.
talked
Because they're
about a room
enchantments.
already. Did we talk about a room? We did, didn't we? No? I don't know. These are enchantments that you get to play one of the sides. When you bring it out, it's unlocking the room, and then the other side can be unlocked at sorcery speed at any time for its mana cost. And so we have Cramped Vents, which is for 3 and a black. It has when you unlock this door, this room deals 6 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and you gain life equal to the excess damage dealt this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side is Access Maze for 5 and 2 black. So later on, once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost.
Mm-hmm.
Shoo. Yeah.
And another room we have is one that has 2 sides. One's called Secret Arcade, and the other is Dusty Parlor. So, Secret Arcade is 5 mana. Non land permanents you control and permanent spells you control are enchantments in addition to their other types. So, now all of your things are enchantments, which can take advantage of the miracle cost when you draw them. Basically, everything. Dusty Parlor for 3, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get to put a number of 1/1 counters equal to the spell's mana value on up to one target creature that you control. Oh, it's not even that you
Oh,
control, just one target creature. Could be theirs.
okay.
Yeah.
I, I want to point out that if you copy a room, both
Mm,
doors are locked. But
yes.
of
Good
course, you can
point.
unlock them.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to copy too. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Why not?
Especially the Cramped Vents one.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got support. So formula is 10. The deck has 10. So this is really fun.
It's a very balanced deck.
Yeah. So the Spirit Sisters call. This is a really fun enchantment for 3, a white and a black that says at the beginning of your end step, you choose a target permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen card. If you do, you return that chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield and it gains if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So this lets you kind of redo all your enchantment thing and things
Mm-hmm.
from the graveyard.
Yeah. And why not have some auras in there? Timely Ward
Mhm.
for this is one that you might want to put on your commander. For 3, you may cast Timely Ward as though it had flash if it targets a commander. Enchant creature, and that creature has indestructible. So now you have some protection for your commander so that she can't be destroyed unless you put some
Yeah.
counters. Yeah.
The archetype of imagination is a little 3/2 for 4 and 2 blue enchantment creature as well. That creatures you control have flying, and creatures your opponents control lose flying and can't have or gain flying.
See, this deck is crazy. That's just the support, man. Oromancer for 3, it's a 2/2. When Oromancer enters, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So get it back.
Mm-hmm. Metamorphosis Fanatic is 4/4 for 4 and 2 black, a human cleric with lifelink, and when it enters, you return up to one target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. And of course, it has a miracle cost. If you draw that first, you can play it for only 1 and a black.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Nightmare Shepherd for, I love this card, for
Mm-hmm.
4. It's a 4/4, and whenever another non token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, you create a copy token that's a copy of it. And then it's just a 1/1 nightmare, but it will have the other abilities that that creature has. So,
Mm-hmm. Entreat the Angels. This is a really great card to play for its miracle cost because its regular
mm-hmm.
cost is 2x and 3 white to create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying. So really awesome. But its miracle cost is only X and 2 white. So
Mm-hmm.
you could really pump it X
Yeah.
up and get a lot of flyers.
Redress Fate for 6 and 2 white. Return all artifacts and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And its miracle cost is only 3 and a white.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Ink Shield, it's for 3 white and a black. It's an instant that says prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn. For each damage prevented this way, you create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying.
Yep. And we have Mirror Maid, which is another enchantment that lets you make copy. So 3 mana, and you can choose an artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. And it doesn't say that you control. So it could be something that they control that now you
True.
get a copy of.
True. All right.
So as far as land goes, the formula calls for 34. This deck has 37. So one less is the one deck that has one less land in it. I did want to point out that it does have one specific land that gives you a nice little benefit where it's the Hall of Heliod's Generosity, where you can pay 2 and tap it and put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library. So just remember to take a look at your lands and see what abilities they have, because sometimes people miss that they had this land there that could be returning stuff to the top of their library the whole time. So I say people, I mean me. I forget.
Plus, I remember your triggers. I don't remember either. Okay, so that brings us to our tweaks section. So thanks for sticking around with us this long. A couple of the tweaks we were thinking of right away is things that have miracle on them. So why not add to that? So Entreat the Dead is one of them for the similar to that angel one that we just talked about. This one is black, so it's XX and 3 black. Sorcery that says return X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, but its miracle cost is the X and 2 black. So way better if you can play it as the miracle card.
Yeah. There wasn't actually a lot of cards that had miracle on them statically. So again, your commander is so important. Triumph of the Saints, though, is another one that you might want to add to this. Is a 5/5 for 5. It's got lifelink. And when Triumph of the Saints dies, exile it and the top 6 cards of your library in a face down pile. If you do, shuffle the pile and put it back on top of your library. And its miracle cost is 2.
Then we were also thinking, since we're doing enchantments, why not find some enchantments that punish the other players? Because why not? It's fun.
Yeah.
So Revel in Riches is one of the ones we were thinking. If you have it, 4 and a black, it's a little enchantment that says whenever a creature an opponent control dies, you create a treasure. So treasure is going to help you play your big things. But if you don't need the treasure at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. So let them sacrifice all their creatures. You'll get
Mm-hmm.
treasures every time they do.
Yeah. And then, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just another win condition, right? And then we have an adventure card. So this is one that these adventure cards have a little book at the bottom, and you can pick if you play the sorcery or the left side first. Then you can put it out on an adventure and play the second card later. Or you can just choose to play the second side right off the bat. So this one has Lochthwain's Scorn for 2. Target creature gets -3/-3 until the end of turn, and you gain 2 life. And then, of course, it is an enchantment. So if you've drawn it for the first time and it costs 4 less, then it's only going to cost you 3. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So really great enchantment. I believe that one came from Throne or the new Eldraine. Might be
Yeah.
Throne of Eldraine, but
Wilds of Eldraine or whatever it's called, I
Wilds,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Ah.
it's a good one.
Underworld Dreams, that's another enchantment for the 3 black that we like to play with. It has whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to that player,
Yeah,
especially when we play
just a
against our blue people. Blue
good,
player.
solid enchantment. This one won't be any less for its miracle cost because it doesn't have any
Mm-hmm.
colorless. But
Yeah.
Revenge of Ravens is a 4 mana cost enchantment that whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, if they can, because Sphere of Safety won't let them, but if they do get rid of Sphere of Safety, then when they attack you, creatures or they will lose 1 life for each creature that is attacking, and you'll gain 1 life. So
Mm-hmm.
just another way to stop them from attacking you if you need to.
Yeah. And then you want to have some protection for your commander and protection for yourself. So another way to do that is a Chroma's Will, a little instant that is for 3 and a white. You can choose one if you control a commander as you cast it. You can choose both. So creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. So if you want to win the game, or creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then if Sphere of Safety and Revenge of Ravens weren't enough, you could also add Propaganda into this deck. Creatures you can't attack you unless they pay 2 for each creature they control attacking you. So any enchantments like that are great to have because it just kind of stops them.
Yeah. Continuing on the protection theme, if you have a Teferi's Protection, you could pop that into this deck. It's a little instant for 2 and a white that says until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. And all
Yeah.
permanents you control phase out. So that means they basically disappear. You can't see, they're gone. Then you have to exile this instant. You don't get to do it again.
Mm-hmm. No replaying that one.
Nope.
Dive down for 1. Target creature you control gets +0, +3, and gains hexproof until the end of turn. Again, just a nice way to protect something on your board, probably your commander, because we need to protect her.
Yeah. Another little enchantment creature that might help with the whole enchantment creature thing, plus protection, is the little Alseed of Life's Bounty, a little 1/1 for 1 white, has lifelink, and you can pay 1 and sacrifice it, and target creature or enchantment you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So it's a great way to protect your enchantments too.
Yeah. And then Apostle's Blessing for 1 and a Phyrexian mana, which means you can pay white or 2 life, whichever you choose. Target artifact or creature that you control gains protection from artifacts or from a color of your choice until the end of turn. Lots of good protection options out there.
Yeah. This one might help you as well with making things cost less. So Inquisitive Glimmer, it's a 2/3 for white and blue. From the new stuff, and it is a little fox glimmer, and enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and unlock costs you 1 less as well. So
Mm-hmm,
that helps you with
nice.
those rooms that are in this deck.
Mm-hmm. And Overlord of Baelmerk we thought would be good for 3 and 2 black. It's a 5/5. It has impending 5. So if you cast the spell for its impending cost, it enters with 5 time counters on it. And basically, you remove the time counters and it comes in later. So it can be free, can be cheaper, but you don't need to because you can use the miracle cost. And then when it enters, you can mill 4 cards. Then you may return a non-avatar creature card or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. So nice way to get something back from the graveyard that they've gotten rid of. And it's going to be cheaper because of the miracle possibility.
Then, of course, if you have one, you could try it in this one because it's a really fun enchantment to have. Smothering Tithe, of course, 3 in white enchantment that says whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2, and if they don't, then you create a treasure token. So just helping your helping you
Yeah.
while they help themselves.
Yep. And then we have some more rooms because, of course, rooms are enchantments. So that's good to have in this deck. Unholy Annex and Ritual Chamber. You can pay 3 for Unholy Annex at the beginning of your end step. Draw a card if you control a demon. Remember, there are quite a few little demons and things like that in this deck. And each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Otherwise, you lose 2 life. So lots of things happening on that side. Ritual Chamber is 5 mana cost, and when you unlock this door, you create a 6/6 black demon creature token with flying.
Nice. Then another one we thought would be fun in this deck is Restricted Office Lecture Hall. It is Restricted Office is 2 and 2 white. When you unlock this door, you destroy all creatures of power 3 or greater. Lecture Hall is for 5 and 2 blue, and other permanents you control have hexproof. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's too bad you can only unlock as a sorcery because that would be
Yeah.
good to be able to like.
An instant. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Oh, but that's a static ability.
Yes.
So you return it, you do it, and then they just always have hexproof.
They're always hexproof. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Feel free to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We definitely would love to hear how you would tweak this deck, if you would do something different, or if you found some other cards. That's it for this time, but we'll see you next time. And in the meantime,
Tap those magic cards and have fun doing it. Thanks,
bye,
everyone.
guys.